So I went to buy a YETI, but when I saw the price, my eyes started watering. After looking into some more budget-friendly brands, I found the Igloo BMX 25, one of Igloo's best-selling coolers. In this video, I'm going to compare how the Igloo BMX 25 compares against YETI and RTIC in ice retention and insulation tests. Plus, I'm going to cut the Igloo in half so we can see what's on the inside. Here's an overview of the Igloo BMX 25. The Igloo BMX 25 is one of Igloo's best-selling coolers, and it's the smallest in the BMX line. You can also find a 52 quart version and a 72 quart version of the BMX if you're planning for bigger adventures. But the 25 is an ideal size for a single person to carry, and it has capacity for a big picnic or supplies for an overnight camping trip for two. BMX stands for blow molded construction. The X is just because it's cool. I'm not going to share too many details about industrial plastic production because one, that's super boring, and two, I don't really know much about it. But there are a few key differences between blow molded construction and the popular roto molded construction that you see with YETI, RTIC, and many other popular brands out there. The two main benefits of blow molded construction is one, the walls are much thinner, and two, you can actually imprint something on the top of it, which is how you get this awesome fish ruler.
Fish ruler, you can measure a fish, salmon, trout, and mackerel, and catfish. With a fish ruler, you can take your pick. With a fish ruler, you can measure your dick.
The first thing I thought when I saw the Igloo BMX 25 was, man, that thing's ugly. Obviously, aesthetics are a matter of taste and opinion. You might think the Igloo BMX 25 looks awesome, or you may not care at all about the cooler aesthetics, which is, by the way, completely reasonable. But me, I care. The Igloo BMX not only holds the most out of the coolers I tested, but it also has the greatest space efficiency. In the chart below, you can see how the Igloo's space efficiency compares to its competition. I got this number by dividing the number of cans a cooler can hold by its liquid quart capacity. Now, it's a fairly limited metric, but the idea is pretty clear. Not only does the Igloo BMX have more internal space, but the shape and design, plus that blow molded cooler, the thinner plastic, that actually allows you to fit more cans relative to the liquid capacity. So it's a double win for Igloo. The Igloo BMX 25 holds 37 12-ounce cans and can hold 15 pounds of ice total, but I recommend only adding 5 to 7 pounds to allow for other contents in this thing. When it comes to insulation, the Igloo BMX 25 performed the worst on my ice retention and insulation tests, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Take a look at this graph. The Igloo BMX 25, which is represented by the green line, was consistently lagging behind the other coolers throughout the 96-hour test. But in real-world terms, this difference, it just really isn't that noticeable. You can see the difference in insulation more clearly here. The Igloo BMX 25 held its contents below 40 degrees for 68 hours. The best performer, the YETI Roadie 24, held below 40 degrees for 73 hours. That's a 5-hour difference in the span of roughly 3 days, which it's really not that critical. Overall, the YETI performed around 10% better, but at roughly 250% the cost. I'm going to leave it to you to judge whether that 10% extra cooling power is worth the cost. The contents of the Igloo rose above 50 degrees at 78 hours, so there's a good chance you're going to have frosty beers throughout your entire 3-day weekend with the Igloo BMX. As for durability, this is where the Igloo is the weakest. Due to the blow molded construction method, the thinner plastic is a bit of a liability. Now, I haven't compared these coolers against one another, dropping them from any great heights, but it's pretty clear that roto-molded coolers like YETI and RTIC, they're far more sturdy. Still, despite the thinner plastic, the Igloo is a tough cooler, and I'm sure you could put it through a beating and it'll come out just fine. Now, portability is a big win for the Igloo BMX 25. Despite having the largest capacity of the small hard-sided coolers I tested, 25 quarts versus 24, 22, and 20, it's the lightest when empty. Of course, you have more room to load this bad boy down, but strictly speaking, it is the easiest to move around. Because of the thick plastic handle, it's a bit tough to pack into a tight space. The YETI does have it best in this situation because of that nylon handle on the YETI, and the RTIC does pretty well because the stainless steel bar is recessed into the cooler, so it doesn't take up that much extra space at the sides. Of course, you have more room to load this bad boy down, but strictly speaking, it is the easiest to move around. So now that we've gone over all the important stuff, let's get this cooler cut in half. Like Cooler Bill always says, safety first. So here I have what's left of the YETI Roadie 24, the RTIC 20 quart, and then now the Igloo BMX 25. So you can probably see some clear differences already. Obviously the YETI 24, a little bit taller, the RTIC 20, a little shorter. It's about the same height as the Igloo 25. And then the Igloo here has a lot less foam on the sides and especially at the bottom. So as you can see, there's not very much foam there. That's maybe an inch of foam there. The RTIC 20 has the most amount of foam, and it's got about 2.5 inches of foam all the way around the entire thing. There's no part that has less foam, whereas the YETI Roadie 24, it's got about 1.5 inches of foam on the sides, and then it's got 2 inches of foam on the top and about 1 inch of foam on the bottom. So just looking at the insides of these, you can kind of tell where the Igloo, why it insulates less is because it has obviously less foam. It does have a ton of foam here at the top, but that doesn't really help. That helps it escape from the top, but this cooler is also not airtight, so it's not like, you know, like the cool air is just seeping out because there's no rubber gasket on the inside like there is for the RTIC or the YETI. The Igloo has no rubber gasket, so it's not airtight, and so a lot of that insulation at the top, that's just kind of going to waste a little bit. The Igloo BMX 25 is my top budget pick in the 20 to 25 quart hard-sided cooler category. Compared to other brands, it's far lighter and it can carry a lot. While it didn't do as well as other brands during the insulation and ice retention tests, it was in the same ballpark as brands that cost 150 to 250% of Igloo's price. Now on the downside, I don't really like the style of the Igloo BMX 25 all that much, but that's pretty subjective. Overall, the RTIC 20 is my favorite 20 quart cooler. You can see my full review popping up on the screen right now for that. And the YETI Roadie 24, that performed best in my tests, and you can see me cut that in half right now as well. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay cool.